Нам теперь нужно передвигаться. Давайте осмотрим еще раз комнату Фифи. Может, я что-то упустил. Мне кажется, я вообще ничего не упустил.
Boxes of stuff.
Да. Нет, я ничего не упустил. Тут я вот этот вот проходил и открывал. Давайте к Фифи пойдем, может она что-то может нам сказать.
Freya drew these,
Yeah, I think so. There's a note on the back.
but she never showed them to me.
Well, I think it was a gift for your mother, like a private thing between Freya and Flora.
Понял. Так, давайте Феликсу покажем этот рисунок.
Where did you find that?
It was in the library.
Really? How odd.
Вот почему нельзя спросить?
My daughter Fiona, our little burgeoning genius. You've met her?
We did. She's going by Fifi these days.
So I've heard. I asked her some weeks ago, what's wrong with your real name? She told me, get this, she wanted a name with an even number of syllables. She makes up the strangest things when she's under pressure.
What makes you think she made that up?
I happen to know the real reason she prefers Fifi over Fiona.
Oh, yeah?
It's what Freya called her. Why would someone lock up a book like that?
We think it's a secret diary.
Aha! Teenagers are funny, aren't they? These drawings are quite precious. I'm surprised Flora let you see them.
What happened to the bird? Did it die?
I don't know. Seems likely, though, doesn't it?
Ну да. Но от него мы ничего выпутать такого не смогли. Давайте посмотрим, в главном холле изменилось ли вообще что-нибудь. Может, тут есть что-нибудь, что я упустил? Поинтеры.
A door.
Oh, what's
A
behind
room.
it? It's not locked.
Finally.
It's not that
Don't ruin this.
Ну да. Так. Можно, конечно, к поинтерам заскочить, но я, честно, как-то не знаю. Ну ладно, давайте. Башня поинтеров. Так это может...
You know, I've always wanted one of those.
A mechanical solar system? What would you do with it?
I would look at it.
Wait a minute. Earth in the middle. Sun on the... How old is this thing?
Эти вообще не понял.
About the base.
Тени в одной линии с фигурой у основания. Какая фигура у основания? Погодите. Сложно. Непонятно. Что? Я вообще не знаю. Все, да?
No, that was it.
Nice work. Did you hear that?
There's a little hatch underneath. What's in there?
A bunch of paper. Looks
Так,
like
бумажки
somebody's
какие-то.
research.
Золотой жук. И прожить жизнь золотого жука. Это вообще странно. Это относится к Фифе вообще, да? Наверное, я думаю. Нет, она микробиолог. Но, блин, она умная. Так сподеваюсь, что Она может вообще не разбираться в этом, и такая, типа, нафиг вы ко мне пришли? Кто-то думает, что, типа, Фрейя увидела этого жука, потому что он, например, был ее питомцем в банке, и поэтому она умерла. Так вот, честно, и реально очень хочется читать, я сейчас мы с бегом эту улику покажем Фифе.
Now this is interesting. Where did you find it?
In the astronomy tower.
And yet, it does not concern the field of astronomy.
Nope.
In fact, you could even say that entomology is the exact opposite of astronomy.
Yeah, you could.
I would not say that, however.
Oh, you wouldn't?
No, it would be quite naive. To study science in any field is to study the connections between all matter in the universe, living or inanimate.
Ну да, она тут права. Но все взаимосвязано в науке. Но ты ничего не сказала. Ты просто сказала, что тут, типа, это не должно быть здесь. Вообще, в принципе.
It's tidier than my desk. The notebook is untouched.
So, even the most well-used notebooks start off blank.
It's tidier than my desk.
So, even the most well-used note.
Чуть-чуть. Ну, книжки.
A spyglass to the
They're in
stars.
very good condition.
Окно.
Yeah, it's too cloudy to see.
It's also daytime.
Let's at least introduce ourselves.
Always a good roll.
Yeah, it's too cloudy.
It's also daytime.
It's a chart of the solar system. Which planet are you from?
А тут больше ничего не остается.
Trinkets.
They're clearly gizmos.
Shh, listen. Do you hear them? The stars. They're whispering.
Зачем ты на звезды смотришь в день?
Quiet, and yet so loud.
What are they whispering about? Are they spreading rumors about us?
I shouldn't think they concern themselves with such insignificance. We are but specks of dust, you and I.
Mm-hmm. Could this speck of dust start by telling me his name?
You find yourself standing in the astronomy tower of one Professor Percival Pointer.
Seems like this tower belongs to the Pointers, and the other one belongs to the Fellows.
Well observed, my dear.
Так.
Tangle Tower is something of a duality as it
Ну да,
happens.
это же
Meaningless
Поинтер. Это вот типа
boundaries,
главный
really.
Поинтер.
They
Надо посмотреть
exist
будет.
only in our
Персиваль
minds.
Поинтер.
Helpful.
Персиваль Поинтер. Персиваль Поинтер. Надо посмотреть тебя на твоей...
What is
На
I think it's a
нашей...
family
На
tree.
вашей... Вот он.
Percival Pointer.
Professor? We met him. He's one of the suspects.
Me? Not much to say. Strictly speaking, I'm the current head of the Pointer family. And of course, father to my precious Poppy.
And a professional astronomer?
Oh no, that's just a little hobby. I mean, yes, I've studied the stars for over 35 years, published 17 books.
Just a little hobby.
Sounds like you're quite well known. You must bring in a good amount of money.
Oh dear me, no. My field of research has never yielded any kind of stable financial return, nor would I expect it to. I am nothing but a humble interpreter for the cosmos, working to translate its message so that I may share it with the world.
Cool. Tell the cosmos I say hi.
Сколько тебя расспрашивать? Ужас. Мне он как-то не очень
The
нравится.
day began as any other, with blissful, unremarkable routine. I took my usual morning walk around the gardens. Fresh air does wonders for the mind.
Did you see anyone else?
Penelope and Fitz were in the greenhouse together. I didn't bother them, of course. I sat for a while besides the pond in the garden. It's a favorite spot of mine. Eventually, I returned to my tower and buried myself in my studies for the afternoon.
Did you use your telescope yesterday?
Once the stars began to appear, naturally.
For how long?
I can't say. I've been known to lose hours at my telescope.
Did you see anything?
No actual discoveries, if that's what you mean.
So you were all alone up in the astronomy tower. Must have been a while before you found out what had happened to Freya.
Quite. Normally, I would be the last to find out about such a thing. but a curious tug of fate led me towards the fellow tower later that evening. I was at my telescope for the majority of the evening, but at one point I returned to my desk to look something up in a reference book. I couldn't find the book I wanted, so I figured Fiona must have borrowed it. I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall. I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library. She looked impatient and slightly frustrated.
Same as ever then?
Quite. I passed her by and went upstairs to Fiona's room. The door was locked, but I could hear shouting coming from inside. I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter. I had no desire to invade their privacy by eavesdropping, so I waited for them to finish and come out into the hall. Before I could ask about the book, Poppy grabbed my hand and took me upstairs along with Fiona. It was apparent that both of them had already been crying about something. We went up to Flora's tower. Freya was laying on her back, right in the middle of the room. Flora and Fitz were already there. They both looked stoic as ever. Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did, and then Fiona went downstairs with Poppy for some reason. I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Why did you leave so quickly? Wasn't there anything you could have done to help?
Don't take this the wrong way, but the whole ordeal is fellow family business. I'm quite sure they don't need me getting in the way at a time like that.
Ну, да, в принципе, он прав.
I don't especially want to talk about myself. Introspection often leads to vanity.
Wait, does it?
Why don't we discuss the moons of Jupiter instead?
I'm not sure if we have time. Aren't there like 10 of them?
83.
Yeah, we don't have time.
A listless soul drifting through the ether.
What's wrong with her?
Not sure. She's always been troubled. Comes from a dysfunctional family. I'd say you could ask her about it, but I think you might find that to be a bit of a dead end.
Да.
He should learn to make the most of his lot in life. And he does have a lot in life.
You're talking about money?
Among other things, but yes, he currently has agency over a small fortune. That is, if he hasn't already squandered it or lost it.
You two don't get on?
Oh no, we're the best of friends. Nobody could deny her talent. She was remarkable, artistically gifted, but also highly intelligent.
Those two things aren't mutually exclusive, you know.
Was she ever interested in astronomy?
I don't think she was. The fault may well lie with me for failing to inspire her, but I think she was captivated by more tangible things here on Earth. My daughter loved her. Fiona, too. That said, in the last year or so, more and more I begun to notice her by herself, wandering the gardens at the most peculiar hours. She must have explored every inch of the grounds 100 times over. Quite a restless spirit, I think. I'm surprised she chose to live at Tangle Tower as long as she did. Ah, yes, the heiress of Tangle Tower. Goodness knows what'll happen when she takes charge. I dare say she'll confiscate my telescope and replace it with a microscope.
She doesn't seem to be the type to impress her will on others.
Still, keep an eye on her. Dangerously intelligent, that one.
You sound jealous. Wait, are you two science rivals?
Oh no, we operate on very different wavelengths. Literally.
А, если не Ой, чел.
Every astronomer-
I want to try.
Так что попробовать.
You can see right into...
Not by accident.
I can see Flora, but she's not looking this way. She's looking up. Behind her is the backside of the easel holding Freya's unfinished painting. I can't really see anything behind it. Not from this angle. You can see right into...
Not
I can,
by
behind
sight.
her. I can't really see... I can just about see the ground. I can see the doorway. The door itself is on the floor. I can see the doorway. The door itself is on the floor.
Да, кстати, я не... Дверь вышибена, получается? Это либо кто-то вломился, чтобы убить, Либо вот этот Фиц выбил дверь, потому что она была
Is that a
закрыта.
window?
I think it
Is
is.
there another room?
We should check that next time we're over there.
Так, может быть, новая
It's that little
комната.
plant.
Don't you think it would fall off?
Maybe it's glued down.
Isn't this supposed to be an astronomy? I'm pretty sure you need to see the sky.
I can't move it. I think this is just how it's set up.
Так, ты какой-то стал резко не такой.
So which one is Tangle Tower?
What's that?
There are two towers, right? Flora's tower and your astronomy tower.
Neither? Truly, I have no idea. You'd have to ask Flora.
She named the house?
The whole thing is a result of her squabbling with her family.
With Felix, you mean? Her husband?
No, her brother and sister, and her father. The Remington family was a rather tumultuous little unit, you see. I don't think Flora has spoken with any of them in over a decade. Not exactly a wealth of information, is it?
It's enough.
A very old statue indeed. I'd recommend you leave it well alone.
Она с ним
The
связана.
poor fellow's in bad enough shape as
Она
it
с ним
is.
связана, что-то хранит в ней. Это что-то... Ах ты ж
Isn't
собака, я
the
тебя
process
вычислю.
of
Мне он не
decay
нравится. У него столько
really
пересечений
decaying.
сейчас со всем. Он
Plastic.
следил за
Eh,
всеми.
It's becoming one with nature, all the same. Where on earth did you find that?
It was in a
Не
bush
понял.
outside. I think someone threw it away.
How peculiar.
Почему у него на все такая реакция? Стата Сарфа. Не трогайте сразу, пожалуйста, не трогайте, не трогайте. Откуда написано, где вы это нашли? Что это за реакция?
I find that painting to be in rather bad taste.
Oh, yeah?
The knife with real blood on it? The whole thing is rather vulgar. Here's a thought. Do you suppose the paintbrush could be the murder weapon? After all, it was found at the scene, right next to Freya's body.
I guess it's possible.
Так себе, это пробить, это пипец, конечно, кисточкой. Но почему в таком случае кровь на этой штуке? Не-не-не, вообще нет.
Curious little thing, isn't it? Do you know what she keeps in there?
Nothing. At the moment. It was empty when we opened it.
How bizarre.
Can't a woman keep an empty egg in her room?
Pointer property originally, purloined by the fellows. Typical. I haven't seen that tape for a long time. Who broke it?
No idea.
Ah, well, possessions are fleeting, my friends. Is this important?
Possibly.
This looks a little rushed, even by Felix's standards.
At least he tried.
Yes, I suppose it's good for the old fellow to have a hobby. Keeps his mind from decaying, you know.
Как же у него стебет.
This is supposed to be Felix, is it?
I think so.
I see he's afforded himself considerable artistic license.
Чего у него такая реакция странная?
Freya was well acquainted with the abstract, I'll say that much.
What does it look like to you?
To me, it's a big, red thing.
What a fascinating interpretation.
He's right, though. It is a big red thing.
Poppy's two closest friends. Freya looks so innocent there. These were drawn by Freya? She must have drawn that one of Hawkshaw rather recently.
I guess.
That's a very old book, isn't it?
Здесь,
Looks
короче,
like someone
третий
could have taken
детектив,
better care
он...
of it.
Я не
I
знаю,
like the
Хокшо,
look of
она
a
или он.
well-read book. Better than one that's never been opened.
Ah, well put. A diary can be a wonderful outlet for an outpouring of one's soul.
How do you know it's a diary?
I suppose I don't, but it does look like a diary. Yes, very nice. Where is that bird of Flora's? It's been a while since I've seen it.
So, we found some
Не
research.
видел, но, видимо,
What's
она
up with this golden
улетела,
beetle?
реально.
Is this something
Именно
you're studying?
улетела. Я не думаю, что она прямо умерла.
I can't help you, I'm afraid. I think it must be something left behind by a previous inhabitant of Tangle Tower. I'm not the first scientist to ever walk these halls, you know.
Well, it wasn't in the halls. It was in your astronomy tower.
Так, мутный.
There's something about Pointer's astronomy habits.
Да.
Something
Let's ask him about it.
Пошли спрашивать.
So, Professor, what interests you about astronomy exactly?
It's not a matter of being interested. Once you expand your mind to the wider universe, it cannot be unexpanded.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been an astronomer?
I really don't like to give exact values unless I'm sure I can quantify them.
Convenient.
Why do you ask me these things?
I have a theory about you, Professor.
Oh? Go on.
You're not really interested in astronomy at all.
What could you possibly mean by that?
I think you're interested in a slightly different field of research.
I don't have time for tiny, insignificant insects. My studies focus only on the inconceivably large and the unimaginably far away.
Right. That's why you like using your telescope so much.
Yes, naturally. My little portal into another world.
Yeah, about that.
Давайте так.
Pointer's telescope was actually looking at the crime scene and not up at the sky.
First, you accuse me of being a lowly entomologist. Now you're accusing me of, what, spying?
Are you spying?
Why would I need to spy on Flora?
Why? Because you lost your golden beetle specimen, and it's made you paranoid. You think somebody stole it from you.
Might not have been Flora you were spying on. Might have been Freya.
It's a very precious specimen, incredibly rare, valuable in ways you could never understand. Freya was always sneaking around, both towers and in the gardens too. She was definitely up to something.
So, this next question is important. You were looking to Flora's room around the time of the murder. Did you witness the crime, Professor?
No, I didn't. When I looked into the room, Flora was already lying on the floor.
Flora? You mean Freya?
No, Flora. She was lying by the window. I couldn't see Freya at all. It was fairly dark. The telescope isn't at a very good angle. That's why I decided to head over there myself. I needed to know what was going on.
This changes your statement, doesn't it?
No, everything I told you in my statement was true.
Apart from the reason you left your tower in the first place.
Right.
Ну, дедок, ты, конечно, красавец. Поинтер вообще такой. Вот, давайте пойдем снова в секретную комнату, которая у нас открылась. Чердак. Ё-моё, ты
It's
что?
a statue standing up straight. Like
You know, there's a name for that.
I know.
It's not quite as dusty as everything else up here. Also, it's not a statue. It's stuffed.
Just dusty junk. Just dusty junk. What is that?
Not sure. Some kind of
It
reel?
looks like it might attach to something.
Медная катушка с винтом сверху. Ой-ой, тут еще что-то сложнее.
What's in that little box? I bet it's bone. A skull, at least.
You know, maybe I won't open it.
It's a jar.
Huh.
At least the moths are kept well fed. Nothing catching my interest.
Sorry, is this spooky?
Kinda. Where's that light coming from?
It's just daylight, I think. There's a decent gap between those floorboards. Is that what I think it is? Is that what I think it is? Is that what I think it is? Is that what I think it is?
То есть вы реально хотите сказать, что отсюда кто-то мог убить? Погодите, как выглядит... И она порвана. Да? Что, типа порвана?
Nothing catching my interest.
Sorry.
Kind of.
Думаю, мы здесь все обследовали.
Just dusty junk.
Пипец, тут что-то происходит. Давайте пройдемся по саду. Наконец-то. Каменная площадь. Ой, нет, я не хочу с тобой разговаривать.
There's a metal plaque
Is
on
there a
the...
message in
I think there wasn't, but someone scratched it off. A pointless little...
I don't know.
Want to play hide and seek?
I could be persuaded. These plants are giving off.
I didn't know we were supposed to be smelling things.
Do you ever see a mushroom?
Not in real life.
A giant gland?
AKA a greenhouse.
Is that a...
If it is, it's a...
I'm guessing it doesn't
So
tell.
what does it do?
I got it.
I'm impressed.
Есть. Где она?
What's in the box?
A little tool thing? Looks like a telescope, but I'm not actually sure what it is.
Маленькая линза. Небольшой предметный инструмент с вогнутой стеклянной линзой, оснащен винтом. Так, я не понимаю, убили с чердака или смотрели, потому что винт у нас есть на этой катушке.
A wooden trunk that
I
opens.
want one.
Whoa, nice cape.
You're not fellows or pointers. I'm sure I shall immediately regret asking. But who are you, and what is your business here?
I'm Sally, and this is my sidekick Grimoire.
A private detective, Grimoire.
Really? You're a detective. If this is a joke, it's not a good one.
Who are you, anyway?
Private Detective Hawkshaw.
Oh, nice. Hawkshaw's a cooler name than Grimoire. Maybe I'll become her sidekick.
You're not on the Freya Fellow case, too, are you?
That is classified information between myself and my client. Clearly, this is something which eludes you. But a real detective refrains from handing out informations to persons unknown.
Oh, right.
Now, if you would, I have work to do. It's not in my interest to discuss personal details.
Even if you're one of the suspects in a murder?
Very well. Let us make a small exception. Ask.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I'm on a case at the behest of my client.
How long have you been at Tangle Tower?
133 hours. 5.5 days.
Who are you working for?
I am not at liberty to answer that. Now, I shall permit you one more question.
What crime are you...
How'd you get that scar? It's cool.
You really think so? As it happens, I completed an examination of Flora's room on the morning before the murder. I've been investigating every single room at Tangle Tower. Hers is one of the last on my list.
Did you find anything unusual?
Nothing but a thin layer of dust and an atmosphere of somber melancholy.
Was Flora in there at the time?
She spent the duration of my search staring up at the sky, out the open window. Didn't say a word, although I'm told this is the expected behavior.
What did you do after that?
I spent the early evening searching the library. It took longer than it should have. Fiona leaves that room in a permanent state of disarray.
Fiona was in the library too?
I expected her to make an appearance, but she did not.
And you stayed in the library the rest of the day?
Not quite. Towards the early evening, my examination of the library was unexpectedly disrupted. Sounds of running, wailing, shouting from several floors above. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared. He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. Our eyes met. He was breathless. Something had caused him great alarm. He told me to stay out of the way. I consented. I decided to return to my
Она на
office
него
in the stone
работает.
square. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me. She was clutching the banister of the Pointer staircase with an apprehensive manner. She wished to know where Professor Pointer had gone. I told her what had transpired. Then, she too crossed the hall and disappeared up the fellow staircase. More so than at any moment prior, I felt like quite an intruder in the house. I took my leave, out towards the stone square. The grounds were silent. There were no signs of human life. Even the greenhouse was without its typical inhabitant. I noted that he, too, must be entangled in whatever was transpiring in Fellow Tower. An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance.
Фиц.
He spoke to me of what had occurred. His report was as clumsy and cumbersome as the man giving it.
Did he seem upset?
He was rattled. That much was clear. But sorrowful, mournful, I cannot say.
Спасибо.
Freya Fellow is of great interest to me. I perceived her to be the most intelligent individual here at Tangle Tower. Within a day, she had identified for whom I was working and for what I was searching. I didn't know how she did it. I was impressed. I regret that I did not question her more thoroughly when I had the opportunity.
You couldn't have known she was about to be killed, though.
I have only myself to blame for failing to perceive the signs.
What signs?
I do not wish to do your job for you, Detective. 314 cases solved. 314. Professor Pointer is a respectable astronomer. Keeps himself to himself. What?
We're just surprised.
That was the most polite you've been about anyone.
Что на него работает. Это
Quite the
понятно.
stoic
Он
statue,
уже
isn't
подчинилась
she?
ему.
I can only dream of being as cold and indifferent as Flora Fellow.
You think she's hiding something?
Perhaps. She has some strange habits. I heard she barely sleeps, an hour here or there, sporadically. Spends the rest of her time staring up at the sky. Did you get anything useful out of him?
Not sure. What about you?
Nothing worth committing to paper.
I think he knows more than he lets on.
Probably. But talking with him is so tedious.
Это нормальный мужик.
Considerably
Нормальный
intelligent, and her powers of observation are enviable. But she has no ambition. No focus.
In her defense, she's still a teenager.
Barely.
This belongs to you, Hawkshaw?
Correct.
And, what is it?
It's my handheld microscope for up-close investigation work.
What do you magnify with it?
Trace particles, dust, oils, clothing fibers.
Have you used it here at Tangle Tower?
I have. I used it to examine the greenhouse only 2 days ago.
What were you looking for?
Чем тебе Фиц не
That
угодил?
is between
Поинтер.
myself and my client.
Что-то Персерваль что-то
What is
скрывает.
that?
I'm not
Зачем его
sure.
нанимать
It
Хокшоу,
looks like it attaches
чтобы
to something
следить за
else.
Фицем?
Why don't you go back and double-check the area you found it? Maybe you'll find the rest of the something else.
I'm not so sure about that.
Where did you find this?
Do you have any theories about where this might have been?
Or who might have had it.
I have several theories, but they are my theories, and I'm not going to share them. Does Flora still own that bird? Do you know?
Don't think so. The drawings are from a few years ago.
I see. A diary. Have you read it?
Not yet. It's locked.
And you haven't attempted to force it open?
That would be cheating.
Она просто так, она
A
просто
book from the
так
library,
презирает
one of
гримуары,
hundreds,
это
no
просто
doubt.
жесть.
What makes this one special?
It's about birds.
Yes, I see that.
When did Freya draw the picture of you, Hawkshaw?
I didn't model for her, if that's what you're asking. She must have done it without my permission.
Could just be from memory. It's not quite as detailed as the others anyway.
A photograph of Freya could be important. I admit, it's powerful. Freya was a talented young woman.
Someone even liked it enough to take a photo of it.
Now, we don't know why they took the photograph, do we? Perhaps they just wanted it for reference. I'd tell him not to quit his day job, but he hasn't got one, has he? These figurines remind me of a case I once solved involving a possessed doll. Turned out to be a bit of a smokescreen, as these things often do.
Your life sounds fun. Grimoire, why don't we ever have fun adventures like that?
Are we not having a fun adventure right at this very moment?
Paints?
Yep.
Paints.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was in Flora's room yesterday, but it was not cracked when I saw it last. A somewhat cumbersome device, and an altogether inefficient way to listen to music.
What kind of music do you like, Hawkshaw?
I like anything.
What a cop-out.
You got it open. I'm impressed. I managed it myself yesterday. I thought Flora might be hiding something in there.
It was empty yesterday, too.
It was. Perhaps it's always been empty. The paint is still wet.
Yeah, well, we know Freya was in the middle of painting when she was killed.
Do you know that? How? Because you were told? Makes quite an impression, doesn't it? Although I can't imagine why she painted Flora wielding a knife.
You didn't see a knife anywhere in Flora's room, did you?
I did not. I conclude whatever stabbed Freya must have been brought into the room from outside. Unless, of course, it was the painting itself.
Surely you don't believe in that kind of thing.
A detective's job is to examine every avenue of thinking. Conveniently left anonymous. It's useless until you can prove to whom it concerns. Can you do that?
No.
No. Where'd you dig that up?
It wasn't buried. It was underwater.
Someone trying to conceal evidence, perhaps? Have you deciphered the meaning of those 4 symbols on the harp?
We're working on it.
That's a no, then. You truly consider this a case file?
What's wrong with it?
No organization, no system.
That's my style. I like seeing everything laid out at once. Yeah, it helps me think.
How quaint. Tangle Tower. No idea why they insist on calling it that. It's not even a tower. It's little more than a pair of turrets stuck on either side of a mansion.
Have you searched the whole place?
I believe so. Why?
He wants to know if you found any secret rooms.
Huh. I'm afraid the residents of Tangle Tower are far too ordinary for anything like that. I was disappointed too.
То есть, вот это тебя вообще не смущает. Так, у тебя есть еще? Погодите. Что спросили? Спасибо за вопрос-ответ.